Good afternoon. Welcome back, Year 10, to UK's physical landscapes. We are just going to give you some pointers this week, similar to last week, hopefully a bit briefer. And this time it's about 4.2, which is talking about the processes that shape the UK's landscapes. Now, some of the concepts, some of the words from last week will appear here. Again, what I've done as usual is put a checklist at the beginning. So the first thing that you need to do is a word matchup. Really simple, really straightforward. The second thing you need to do, of course, it's a good habit to develop, is create concise notes. But this week it's about the Ice Age, aka the Quaternary period. And what I've tried to do again is make sure there is a sign that says note taking activity where you need to do that. We have two very important case study areas you need to compare, but it means nothing if you don't even know where they are. So for task 3, you need to describe where they are. You'll be given pointers again about what we use, for example, compass directions, places that are nearby, etc. You then have a table to complete. Feel free to do this by hand or in Microsoft Word, and then you can upload that. You have a practice exam question which will be graded by your geography teacher. However, it is very short. It's only 4 marks. Finally, for this week, you're going to copy and complete some statements about how certain human processes have shaped the UK landscape, and the textbook pages will be uploaded to Satchel 1. So here's the word matchup. What I've done for you is highlight 4 key terms that are of special interest for today. So they are upland area, slope processes, glaciers, and U-shaped valley. Of course, the rest are important. We visited them last week, but the 4 in purple are of particular importance today. We then have a video clip to support your learning. Now, the original clip we wanted to use, the BBC has no longer made it available, so I've added one in that is a little bit more complex, but it still covers the key areas of importance. Okay, the thinking questions for this week's video are: what are the landforms that have been created by glaciers in the UK? Remember, we don't have glaciers anymore. And also, just to think a bit more deeply, how long do you think it would have taken to actually create these landforms? Now, the most commonly seen one probably is in the image in the top right. I think I mentioned it last week as well. Okay, actually that's a little bit cheeky because in that image I can actually see 3 different glacial landforms, so it's a bit naughty of me to do that. But see if you can work out from what you watch in the video which landform or landforms are shown in that picture. And then you're going to make really clear, concise notes on the next few slides, which are about the Quaternary period, aka the Ice Age. Now, those slides show you the extent, so how far it reached, the extent of the ice sheet that covered most of the British Isles. Okay, so for this slide, and to an extent this slide, you are making notes. You actually have to compare 2 regions of the UK, the Lake District and the Weald. Now you can see, and I shouldn't really be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway, that the Lake District is in the north, or rather the northwest of England. Okay, see if you can name any nearby cities. And then the Weald is a little bit closer to home, and it's shown in the case study 2 map. So areas you might have heard of, Surrey, Sussex and Kent, form the Weald. Yep, see how close they are to London. Now you need to describe the location, talk about compass directions, the counties involved and bodies of water nearby. And of course, we don't want you to do this blind. We want you to use the help available to you. So those of you who sensibly still use your planner, please get that out so you can know the areas that you are talking about. Now for task 4, okay, you're going to write out or type out this table, and you're going to complete it using the following slides. The following slides talk about certain sub-aerial processes, and those processes are physical or mechanical weathering, okay, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. Now, chemical and biological weathering you might have come across in science. When we've taught this before, some of our students have said that in certain science sets this has been covered to an extent. Okay, so if you have done that before, fantastic, you can use that cross-curricular learning. Now, in your exam, in paper 2, you will most likely be asked to describe and or explain a process of weathering, and your go-to process, your default process that you will always go to, is freeze thaw weathering. I believe we did this in the lower school, and this diagram you definitely would have seen if you were at Bishop. So it's very simple. First of all, water collects in the rock crack. Now water freezes in stage 2, and we know that as water freezes it expands, so it becomes bigger. That means that crack that the water's entered, it must widen. Over time, as temperatures change, that ice will thaw. That water will get further and further and deeper into that rock crack, and that process stops and starts and stops and starts. So that repeated expansion, really good phrase to use there, and contraction carries on, and then eventually the rock splits, it breaks off. Now, of course, the next few slides are note-taking slides. Note-taking slides. There is a summary at the end of these slides showing you ideally what you should have written down, but these are note-taking slides showing you different landforms, the different characteristics of the 2 regions. So we have our upland landscape, which is the Lake District, and we have our lowland landscape, which is the Weald. Remember, the Weald is closer to us. We have a bit more information here about the Weald, and importantly, a little bit of a throwback to last week, we've got a geology map. Remember, geology is referring to the type of rock. We discussed last week that the rock types found in the southeast are, well, they're less resistant than what we might find in places like the Lake District in Cumbria. Yeah, so I said there were lots of clays. You would find certain chalks as well near Kent, and these are examples of less resistant rock. That in turn has an impact on the shape of the landscape. So we've got noted here, we've got a lovely photo here of rolling hills, okay? Anticlines and synclines, these are words that you need to get familiar with as well. The final task for this week is a copy and complete task. You will need page 132 and 133 from the FACE textbook to enable you to do that, and as I said before, that will be uploaded to Satchel 1. The 3 areas you will be looking at are agriculture, so that's farming, forestry, so the cutting down of trees for things like timber, and then finally settlements, so the places to live that we have established as human beings. So please copy and complete these statements. If you're really on it, feel free to use your own vocabulary. You do not have to use these sentence starters if you want to do something a little bit more elevated. Make sure you do your end of lesson checklist to make sure that you've done everything that is required. Remember, the tasks in blue are those that need to be uploaded to Satchel 1. If you have any questions, please reach out to your geography teacher. This should be uploaded on Wednesday in time for your lesson, and I will be leading that session. I wish you all a very, very good week. Take care.